So welcome back to our Scala to Spark class, and we will continue looking at data frames, specifically transformations, but first we will look at our basic unit of rows. We saw there are columns, which of course have a specific data type, and so rows are basically, or we can call them records, right, are our basic building blocks, right? So again, everything is an expression, remember, right? So basically, right, so each row is a single record, right? Again, familiar idea, right? But the thing is, we don't really, we can create single rows, by the way. We can create, right? So data frames have schemas, but rows do not have schemas. So let's go or create our day 2021, right? Let's see. Okay, saving to date, commit and push. Yes. So previous day 20, and let's continue with day 21, right? So rows and transformations, Scala class, day 21, rows, data frame, transformations. Okay, object, of course, and by now, of course, we have the idea that we can basically use the we don't need to work on we have our Spark session here, right, already. So we have our nice utility, right, on the basic Spark, right, whatever name you want, right, doesn't have to be a specific name, right, and I'll do rows, data frame, transformations. Okay, let's check our code. Of course, you need to extend it. Extends app, of course, as usual. We can run it, and we will want to load it again. Really, let's see first. So we can create a row. We can create our rows by hand, right? We could, right? We could create rows by hand, right? Of course, the only thing you have to keep in mind, of course, that we'll need a specific order as they will be added to the data frame, right? If you have a row string, right, a column string, it has to be this one here. So let's try to take a look at this here. All right, so this this information. So again, we have our Spark engine, right, and so we can do row, right, some data like this, right? Of course, I don't have a row, but I can import it, right? I can import it, and it's here, right? So that's legal. So I could, of course, we'll see how we can get access to this individual data, right? So I have what? Row hello, right? So it'd be 1, right? I could do this, right? Let's see if this works. So print line, my row 0, right? Just like a regular, or get. Was it get? No, just row, right? We can do that. So this will be any type. I believe this is any type, right? Let's see if this works. Hello. Will it print hello or not? Let's run it. Will it work? Hello. Yeah, it worked fine. So let's add some floating point, 3.1415926, right? Something like that, right? So that's one way of doing it. So integer, right? We can convert, but I believe I like this second method better, right? So print line, right? Right. This is an instance of string. This is one way of I like this method better. Of course, it's shorter, but this is the general way of converting to a string. But we can do this. Print line my row as string, right? So I would use this one usually, right? Because, well, my string, my cell, well, my greeting, right, equals my row get string, right, 0, right? Of course, so string would work usually. String, it will work with pretty much anything. We'll try this, right? Not get integer might not work. However, of course, here, so first item, right? This is any type, so this will be a string, right? Well, this is gonna be an integer, right? It will be 1, right? Or 42. I'll do 42. 555, right? And of course you can see print line. The question is, will it always work? So casting to integer might not work, of course. So this is, of course, this is fine. You can have extremely fine grained access to data if you need to. Of course, generally in Spark you don't want to do these single row operations, because of course if you have millions of rows you don't want to give instructions for a single row generally, only in some specific cases when you need to get some data out. Okay, so let's run it. And let's wait for it while it runs. Yeah, hello, 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 right? And this was, of course, again I can do print line my greeting, right? Print line my greeting, of course, will be also hello, right? All hello, 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 right? Hello, Sparky, Spark. Hello, Sparky, right? And of course, this is the so question: will this be a float? How do I get float? Let's say so. My pi, right, equals what? So my row, and I want to get integer, right? So I want get integer. Can I get double? Can I get float or double? I'll get double. Let's get double. And what is the number? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll get 4. So last one. So fifth element. So fifth element. Okay. So print line my pi. Right. Of course, this is just general, regular, just normal. No, just normal. Just normal. You know. So my greeting is just normal. I think it's just normal Scala string, right? Of course, right? So we can access, we get regular access to row, to individual. We get access to individual members of row, quite similar to how we would get access to individual members of an array, right? So we get access, right? So nothing too crazy. Let's see if we get double here, right? Will we get pi? It should be double, but will it be double, right? So my greeting, my number, right? We could also do this. Let's see. And let's see. This is also double. My double, right? Well, will this work? I expect that it works. Get double. I get double too, right? We get and cast or int as double, right? As double, right? Let's see if this works. It might not work, but it should work. Let's see. Print line my double. Also double, right? Double trouble. So we should get bunch of hello Sparkies, and we should get double. Let's see if we have any errors. This might be yes, we do get an exception. So what do? So we had the wrong schema, right? Integer cannot be cast to class Java language double, right? So well, what do we do, right? So this doesn't work, right? So what do we do? Well, we could get double integer, right? And then of course we could do just regular. If you need to get double, right? To double, right? To double, right? Double this cast into double from Scala, right? Not Spark, right? So this is from. So this part, last one, is from Scala. This is not from Spark, right? This is a Spark method, right? I mean, again, for this object, but double is basically just regular Spark. I mean, regular Scala. So can we get the schema of this row? I believe we can. Let's check if we get any. No, so no errors. Right? Everything worked. Of course, this double is 555, right, with a dot, and of course we got the double out here, which is a fifth element, right? We get double as well, right? We could also do some dataset APIs. That's later on, and so these are the core parts. We have seen there are columns, right, in our data frame, and of course we have rows, right? Questions: can you get a row schema actually, right? Well, Right. So in Java or Scala, of course, right, you need to use these helper methods because, of course, we have strong typing, right? If you're using Python, well, you will get the right type, but it's actually a little bit more dangerous, actually, I would say. So what else can we do with row? Where's my row? My row, right. So, can I do something like this? My row, can I have schema? No. Pretty JSON, no. Is there a schema? Yes, there is a schema. So yes, we can, in fact, is there show schema? No. Print, no, but you have schema. So we do have schema, right? So print line schema, so we do have schema. Print line schema, I think we do, right? So we do. We can, in fact, print schema for a single row, but we do not have print. Remember our previous lecture we talked about print schema. It's not row does not have this method, right? There's no method. We can do it just like this. There's a property. So there's property, but there's no method. Print schema method. Schema property for single. Let's take a look. And let's see if we do have warnings, bunch of warnings. Okay, now actually we don't have a schema for this, right? So it's not defined actually. So row apparently so no schema. So no schema unless row comes from a data frame, right? It's its own schema, right? So you can't really. So you need to know what the data types are. Okay, but okay, so let's go to our data frame transformations, right? So there are some fundamental core operations. So our data frame, right? Right, transformations, and we'll be doing basically it's mostly Spark is all about doing transformations, right? Right here, and I will do. We can add rows or columns, right? And do you have anything else? So picture. Unfortunately, I can't give you a picture. You'll have to get it from the video, right? Remove. We can add rows or columns. We can remove them. Rows or columns, right? We can transform a row in column. So it's like not transition. What's the name of the word? Transposing, right? Transposition, right? Transposition, right? If you remember geometrics math, and we can change the order, right? So sorting, right? So that's all. That's basically what it is all about. And let's take a look at the picture, right? So we can remove the red rows or columns. We can add. The green is adding, and we can sort, and we can also transform a row into column or vice versa, right? We can move them around again. So these are the basic operations, right? So the most common being take column, change row by row, and return result. That's the most basic operation, right? The most common is the one, and we'll get started with it. So we'll need some data, right? We only have a single row. So how do we create a? So right. So again, we will use read the same or summary again. Just we already know this data is not very interesting, of course, right? And in fact, I will use it from our previous day, right? Because it's so basic. I would here we go. JSON load flight path, right? That's what we have. And we could. Yeah, because it's easiest, right? However, notice we'll add something else, right? We will no, we don't need that, right? So flight path, right? That's data frame, right? And so inference, so inferring again, so inferring, so automatic detection of schema, right? Again, we know what the data looks like. It's basically single rows of JSON, multiple rows of JSON with key value, right? It's very, again, something in Scala we will call this a map, right? You call it hash map. Again, but in JSON you call this an key value. I mean, this is an object, single object, of course, in a JSON language. So, notice something else. We'll create also. Why is this needed? Do you remember? You remember probably that this is needed to make SQL queries, right? Right. Otherwise, so virtual table, right? View, virtual table needed. So we create basic name tf table, right? Because we can run queries against. Otherwise, you'll have to use only the Spark syntax, right? So this is extra step, right? Again, it doesn't cost you performance-wise. You don't lose anything by using SQL, right? So, how about this? Yeah, we had our row, right? We had our little row, right? We did. Let's make another row. We could create a small, tiny. That's one way of doing it, right? So we can, of course, as we know, this is df show, right? We know this is basically, we already did this before, yesterday. And I believe it succeeded. Let's take a look at time. We have plenty of time, right? So, yeah, on show, will show work. Yeah, of course, United States, Romania, and count. Again, basic data frame. So, nothing too complex. But we can do it by hand, right? We can do it in hand, right? So basically, but you need to do some extra work. So this is on the fly. Meaning, we just come up with some idea, but you need to do the extra work. You need to define the schema. You need the rows, right? I'll need the multiple rows. And this is a little bit extra work, right? So this is extra work, right? Right. So we could do this, by the way, right? This is the one way of doing sequence to df. Right. By the way, this would work quite well. Yeah, so this is a long way of doing it. So this is a long way of doing, if you had to, you define your types, you have to define the schema. Again, it's kind of a relatively involved process, right? And then you add the schema here, right? And write my rows, right? And then you pass it. And so this is where you get to see this, I'll add this in beginning, right? We have we only have row. We only have row here, right? Yeah, we do. So I'll add this. We need this for schema. Oh, why didn't work? Comma. What's up? Yeah, we didn't close the semicolon, right? Because when you copy and paste from a book, right, you get the structures here. So we'll need to create by hand, right? We need to define a schema. So, right, manual schema. Quite relatively painful, right? But again, so new, I don't think you need new anymore, right? Remove new notify. This is from Java code, I think, right? So you don't need it anymore. Let's see, yeah. So 3 types, true string type, and again, some column names, right? Treasure field, right? Okay, some on let's see. So this is one. What do we have the error here? Oh, what happened here? They forget to Control Z. Yeah, okay. Now, so I have my manual schema, and I have my rows. I'll make multiple rows. You don't need only one row. However, I'll make multiple rows, right? I can do more rows than one, right? I can do here, right? I'll copy, right? I can have, let's say, 3 rows, right? Right, row, hello, Sparky, right? And again, this is null row. So string type, actually I have some data, some string, right? And I need to say what this long, right? It's a long type, so I have to say 15, right? I have to define. Why do I need to do this long, right? You might ask. Well, because I said it's long, and 151 is not by itself long, right? It's just an integer. So we need to say, we need to specify one long, because 1 by itself is an integer, right? Again, it's mostly, it's all a fight against different data types, right? So I'll do this, I'll leave a comma, some others are Sparky, well, this, I'll do what, well, this, right? Data, my data, right? On is it true? I forget what this third thing was. Structure field. So yeah, nullable. Okay, false. So what does it mean? So nullable means that it is actually possible to have a null value. So these two, so true refers to this field, right? You know, column being nullable, right? Namely, could have null, right? So this possibly, let's do let's add one more, right? This means that null, this is here. It's possible. This would not be an error. Null. No data, right? I could do this, right? I could do 9,000, of course, right? Again, I still have to do 9,000, right? But this is not. This here. So names have to be present, right? It is not nullable, right? So there's no possibility. So this has to always be case. Okay, so this, okay, so I have my rows. So this is going to be a sequence of rows. Well, again, sequence. It could be an array of rows, we could do also, or maybe a vector of rows or a list of rows. It's just a sequence, right? It's just a sequence. So I have my schema, I have my rows, and I can make a df. Unfortunately, I need to drop down to this this resilient data set, right? I do need to drop down to lower level RDD structure, right? That's the only thing, just for a little bit, right? I parallelize my rows, and then I create it from the data frame, right? And I could see this should work. Now I pass, right? So I pass RDD and schema, and I get data frame. Right, so this is the only thing. So parallelization again. So of course you could also do how many partitions, right? You could theoretically add multiple partitions here, which is silly when you only have 4 rows of data, right? So, but technically yes, you could add this. You could add a parameter here, right? Which would be possible. Parallelize. You could have a. You see number of slices, right? Number of slices, right? Partitions, num slices, right? Which, yeah, it's possible. But okay, so let's see, did it work? Is it that it's, well, my Scala says it will work, right? But let's see, right? We should have all of this data. It's possible I made a mistake here. So this is null. Oh yeah, this is of course not. This is not null, right? I mean, it will work, but I want to show you this is null, right? This is just a not present. But this is these have to be required. So the I require. Okay, let's run it. Okay, let's see. It's almost finished. Is this still working? Yeah. Right. So hello null 1, right? Sparky, some string, right? Val, this is my data. Now my data 151. Okay, works, right? So probably make you do some, probably an exercise I'll make you do a longer sequence, add more rows with a specific data types, right? And create a schema, right? We'll see if you can do this. Okay, but not yet. We still have a few more things we can look at, right? So there is a way to do implicits, right? This is, it's not necessarily, there is a third way, right? So we did this with REDs. So there is a slightly, I would say hacky, way to do conversions of rows to data, to the frames, right? But this is not recommended, again, for production maybe not, but so you could do this, right? Not also not read, of course, my df, right? That's wrong. Also df, right? And it's not, doesn't work, right? So why doesn't work? Because you need to import implicits, right? Yeah, this doesn't work actually here. You need to do implicit, you need to import, let's say, did we miss something? You need to do an import here, but it won't work, because what it means, it takes advantage of implicits. Let's take a look. Maybe we'll get to this later, right? So, this is not recommended. Again, I personally don't like it, because you don't really see what you're doing, basically, right? So, it's possible, theoretically possible. This requires implicits which are slowly going away in future versions, right? So this is not really not recommended. That's why I don't really. So okay, let me commit this. We are midway through. So day 21, row operations, right? I'm creating DataFrame. Okay, now we can go to our main DataFrame, right? Yeah, we can do this. So we'll be using we're gonna look at select method. Now this goes on also we'll use the select expressions when you use strings, right? So this will be your workhorse. We move to our main so say main operations, right? Select, right? Select expression, right? And also there's some extra functions which we'll see. So, right, so yeah, okay, so that's our goal, right? Okay, and so select expressions. So this is basically like a select, right? So this is our basic. Basically, think of it as select. Think of a select, right? And so this is you do something in SQL, right? Select something, select name, select some calculation. So very similar to what we do in we did in SQL, right? So select yeah, so manipulate columns in your name. So this is our, we've seen some examples already, right? So let's look at things that we have select. So we can do this, for example, right? So what's happening here? So think of it, right? Select, show first two rows. I mean, of course, you're selecting a single column and show two rows, right? Very simple transformation, and we are showing the first two rows, right? So destination country, we'll see, this will be, I expect to see not Luxembourg, it's gonna be United States, right? Not very interesting, right? Not very interesting, but still, okay? I expect United States, exactly, right? Very simple, right? So again, you can probably already see an analogy, and I hope the book shows. I think the book does show, right? So yeah, we can do also this, right? You can do multiples, right? Yeah, so again, very simple stuff, right? So what does it return, right? So if you're doing show, right, I can do, it returns the data frame, right? I could save it, right? New data frame, well, new div, we have it. Oh, not like this, Control Z. Right, new fdiff, I'll save results. But again, usually, again, Spark, remember this part here, right? I'm not going to show, right? Right. So you can have multiple columns, destination, right? And I could do now, this is data frame, right? Yeah, it's data frame. Of course, it's data frame. So you can do new div and show, you know, let's do show 3. I can't type. This again, this is just again. So this is not again. New div is not is not holding the data in Scala in memory of our application, right? That's again, that's you have to remember. It's letting Spark is handling it at this moment, right? Only when we do show or collect, right, is when we save or something, right? Then we actually data passes through our Scala application. That's an important point. So you can keep adding. You can keep adding multiple columns. Let's see, we're almost running out of time. Oh, we have 10 more minutes. Right, so United States, Romania, Croatia, and Ireland. Of course, it's all here, right? Romania, Croatia, Ireland. Okay, yeah. So basic stuff. Okay, now that we have the columns working, right? We can select, right? And we can, do a transformation. Will we show the select in SQL, right? Yeah. Right, so there's multiple ways of doing it. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways, right? But we saw here, right? We need to import the metadata. Yeah, like I said, this part here is not mentioned, but you need to the column selections, literals. Yeah, these ones no. It's not showing me this. You need to import this again. Implicits, I believe. Implicit. Yeah, right. I don't like it, but it's possible. Let me see if we can quickly go to find dot, no, or was it dot implicit? Okay, let's do just one text. Okay, well, let's go back. I was trying to find what you need to import, but let's see, maybe we'll find it. Let's go back. We are here, right? Yeah, we are here. We are here. I want to show you also, of course, since we created, did we do a view? Right? We could do this, of course, we could do the same thing, of course, with SQL. We created a temporary view, right? We did. Where's our saving? Yeah. Yeah, def table, right? Yeah, we did. So we can, in fact, use it. Here we go, Spaghetti SQL, right? We could do it like this, right? This also would work, right? So as you imagine, this would be the same thing, right? Yeah, no. So it will be what? Select destination country and origin country, right? Origin country name, right? 2 columns from what? Not flight data 12. We rename. We had to do something else. We use the name as called df table, right? Df table. We use that. Right, and of course I not group it. I could order it, right? Or maybe can we do limit? Let's do limit 5, right? I could do limit, say 10, right? And of course I could do then SQL way. This is DataFrame, of course, right? And show, say 5, right? Again, to 2 columns should be very similar, right? To show 3. Same thing, doing using SQL syntax, right? So of course, the advantage, of course, you pick up, so select. So again, it's a little bit hard to debug errors. If you do typos, it's a little bit right. So, yeah, and so with SQL syntax, it is a bit harder to debug errors. Typos, etc. Right? So that's the only thing why I would select this. Why not go completely SQL, right? So. And goes limit 10 is of course not required. You don't have to do limit. It should work unless I made a typo. Of course, if I made a typo, it won't work. It worked exactly the same. Yeah, it worked exactly the same, right? And again, as the book has said repeatedly, underneath the same performance. It's the same performance, right? So you don't have to be. It's either one work, whichever feels more natural, right? So when you do your project, you will be able to pick one of your syntax, whichever you feel better, right? So yeah, so this mentions here these different syntax. Again, this is kind of silly. This is going all out, right? So a little bit crazy. Let me see if I can find the imports. I had the previous. I don't really like this syntax. Some of these syntax, right? Right. So don't do it in the same. I don't. You know, not personally, right? But try to stick with just one type. You know, call in a single project, right? At least column, right? This is fine, right? So this should give you exactly the same result. And of course now it won't work. So select. Do I have a data frame? Actually, is this data frame? Yeah, I do have it. So what's going on here, right? We have a lot of bad, crazy stuff. This is actually right, depreciated, right? So this is this doesn't go, right? We will need to see if all of these. I don't think everything will work anymore. This is all that. Like I said, this is 4 years ago, so not everything will work as nicely. So first of all, we need these, right? We need these. Do we have them? No, we don't, right? So we will need those. So those certainly work, right? So those certainly work. On Spark, I think it is implicit. Let me check if I can find it here. I'll find implicit. Come on, I can't find nothing exists. No, I guess not. Can I find $? No, nothing. Find in file. No, I don't want to find. I want to find in general. Call. Right. Yes. I don't want it. Find. I don't want to. I want to look in my main here. Right. Resource. I don't know why it's not picking up. And it should be here, but I guess not, right? So we'll get to, again, it's possible, but I'll just comment out these are basically slightly depreciated, right? So I will just not use them. Again, it used to be all the rage. Personally, like I said, I'm not. So these two are not not used as much, right? Not used as much. It requires implicit. Magic required implicits, right? Which are being depreciated. I mean, again, the only reason to use is because it's simple, right? It's a shorter. I think column is just fine, right? So again. So column, so 1, 2, 3, 4 ways of doing it, right? 6 is too much already. So again, usually this one is fine. Expression also works. So here we have what? So expression, column, right? They all do the same thing in this particular case. Again, of course, expression is more generic, right? Expression, of course, expression lets us do more stuff than call, of course, than call or column, right? Of course, right? More stuff meaning more transformations than column, right? Because we just select column, right? So this is more general, right? So these are specific. So this is most common. Use this one, right? Again, you can refer to the same column, right? But again, so you're just basically giving instructions to Spark, and only the actual printing will happen here, right? At this end, right? These are just instructions for a Spark engine. Only when you say show me the money, right, you actually see the results. Again, I want to reiterate this. Let's see the results. See if I made any mistake. Looks like fine. United States, United States, United States, United States. Of course, right? Because we had 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Same name, right? Of course, column name, but of course, column index. We could, as you can imagine, we can get them out by column index, row indexes, right? So, right. So, they say don't do this, right? So this is what will not work, right? So this is, right, this will be an error, right? So as I mentioned, expression will be the most common one, right? So error, right, this will be an error, right? Don't do that. So select expression will be better. Why? We can change the name, right? So this is another way, right? We can do this. So expression, so this is expression, right? Expression is the most, it's like a, you know, Swiss Army knife, right? So we can say, so as you can imagine, this will be, we can, so that's kind of like SQL syntax, right? You can utilize it. Of course, you could have used this, right? That's also as, right? It would also work, right? As my destiny, my origin, you know, as my origin, you know, or something like that, right? That would work, right? So kind of similar here, except I only have a single column, right? So let's run it. It's running, see how much time we have. Yeah, we'll need to have to wrap it up for today. But so we learned how to select. Let's see, we can end on a good note, right? So we change the name. We could do also, right? You could also do alias, right? Yeah, it's also possible, right? So we can change it back, right? So it's also possible to do this, right? So here you can use alias, right? You can use alias to change a name. So notice something this here, right? This is same as this basically, right? We can use right, not like this, Control Z, right? We can, yeah, so we can use alias. We can also use, alias, right? And let's see, where is it? Here, right? So is alias method, right? So alias instead, right, to change the column name, right? Destination, my super duper, my destination, right? My destination, right? Okay. And of course, right, and of course this is not required, right? You could just do it immediately, right? So again, there's multiple ways of showing. So alias basically is a way of renaming column for our needs, right? Destination. So while it's running, right? So let's see what we have learned. So we need to learn to create rows individually. We can do schema, and we can do some operations of selecting columns, right? So yes, United States, my destination. So just a name. It's just renaming basically here, right? Okay. Right. Yeah, we can do this, right? So there is something this, right? So that is so select. Maybe we'll get that to. We'll do that in the next in afterwards, right? We'll do that on a select expression. We'll stop on here, right? This is good, quite good, but actually good, right? Well, actually, yeah, I guess so. So this will be quite powerful, but we'll do this after the break, I believe, right? Or maybe we can do it now if you're not too tired. No, I think this is not enough. Okay, let's give you an exercise. So exercise will be, right, create 4 rows in of all the same for, let's say 3 rows. That's just 3 rows, right? With data with the following entries. Let's say, let's do just maybe following data formats: string holding food name, right? Quantity, right? I mean, so string, so this will be integer, right? Int holding for holding quantity, right? On price for long for holding price, right? Of course, right? I mean long, right? Long for holding price, right? So that's the idea, right? I think you can figure this out. So string, and do we have boolean? Do we check in our example? Right, we have string long type, so you'll need to figure out what the types are. Remember, these are where you can find them. They are here, right? So you'll need to add. So you will need to probably import some other types, right? You probably want to import some types, right? You might need to import an extra type or two, right? Probably just one, right? You know, right? So that's so 3 rows, right? Something like, you know, and then create a data frame. Create a data frame. Right? Food frame. Create a data frame called food frame, right? A food frame which will hold those rows, right? And and then of course select right, you will want to, right, let's do this again, you will want to have column names, right? Remember, yeah, we want the names, some names, right? So some column names, yes, you will want to have the column names, yeah, you will want that column. So again, right, you will need to, right, so you need to manually create a schema, right? Column names, this will be a food quantity, you know, quantity and price, right? And maybe to make it more interesting, I don't know, we can do it. Well, we could do also boolean we can do a boolean. It's the vegan option, right? Also forced also boolean for holding is it vegan or not, right? So it will be four data cells in each row, right? So each one is different, each row, each one is different, right? So again, to practice this, right? So boolean, right? So you'll need to import these types, right? You can import them all, right? We talked about this, right? Food frame, which will hold these rows, and then use select, use select or and SQL syntax to show to select and show only name and quantity. Name and quantity is vegan. Right? So these are the column names. So quantity and quantity, right? Okay, that's it, right? Name quantity, select and show only name quantity. Yeah. Okay. I think that is it. If you have any questions, so 4 rows. So again, so 3 rows of same type of food, and each row has 4 columns basically, right? 4 entries, right? 4 entries, right? You know, columns. Okay. Okay, so 4 data types, right? So something like so, you have, you know, something, so original data could be something like chocolate, I don't know, chocolate, let's say 3, price would be 2.59 on let's say false, I don't know, chocolate could be false, it could be also not false, right? So something like this, right? Just to give you an idea. You saw all the examples here, all the examples are covered, right? Only thing is you might need to import some extra types here, right? So that should do it. You can create rows, right? And then you can create schema, right? You can create a schema and you can add it to my rows, yes, and you can, yeah, unnullable only, right, let's do this, vegan, all, right, let's do this, and yeah, in schema, name, quantity, price are required, not nullable, while is vegan could be null, right? Okay, that's also a definition. All right, let's check. Let's see. You can do this again. Nothing too complicated. If you see these examples, I know you can do it. So see you at 9.